Well, a major win for free speech, for Confederate monuments, for monuments and statues in general, the preservation of art, music, history, culture, no matter where it thrives. And welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. It's Thursday. Now, I know I haven't posted anything in a while, and that's because I've been out with this really bad sinus cold. I mean, this thing is really nasty. You get these coughing spells that just never seem to end. And it seems like it's been a week of opposites because we had this bridge collapse in Maryland, and I have family that's from Baltimore, Virginia, family in Kentucky, out in California. So the night that this thing happened, this bridge collapse, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and it seems like it's, like I said, been a week of opposites. So when I saw this happen, I immediately thought of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge incident back in 1980. Now, I was born and raised in the Tampa Bay area. And if you remember the Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito case, one of the areas they were searching was down by Fort DeSoto. Well, that's the southernmost point of Pinellas County. And you take the Sunshine Skyway Bridge from Pinellas County into Manatee County that connects the two counties, going from Tampa Bay or from St. Pete, Pinellas County, to Sarasota, Bradenton. But back in 1980, you had a cargo ship that hit the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, which was originally built in 1954. And it took out a 1,400-foot chunk of the bridge. In fact, when they rebuilt the new bridge in 87, I remember going over the new bridge. You look to your right, and you can see the old bridge, and at one point, it just cuts off, completely cuts off. I mean, eerie, absolutely eerie. And they since have turned the remaining portion of the bridge into a fishing pier, recreation area by Fort DeSoto, or in that area. I remember going out there, and it's really quiet. Go out there, go fishing, and you just hear the waves lapping against the remaining portion of the bridge. So I immediately thought of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and we were talking about that for years, They're still talking about that today. But that was being talked about back in the 90s when I was going to high school. But I mean, just a real surreal moment this week with this bridge collapse in Baltimore. So definitely want to give my thoughts and prayers, out to everybody who was affected by this. But the really weird thing about that is the name of the ship in 1980 was called the Summit Venture. But the name of the ship that hit this bridge this week in Baltimore was called the Dali, and the Salvador Dali Museum is in St. Pete. Isn't that kind of weird? So, I don't know. Like I said, a week of opposites, and, just been out with a sinus cold, trying to recover from that. But then we have this Confederate monument that's going to stay up in Graham, North Carolina. So this is a story at Fox 8 WGHB. Thank you for subscribing, by the way, being a part of this thing called the Culture Confederacy, if I didn't mention it. As I said, trying to recover from this thing here. So I'll get it back one of these days. So according to an appeals court, it is ruled that county commissioners do not have the authority to remove a Confederate statue that's in front of the Alamance County Courthouse. And they cited the state's monument protection law. Now, North Carolina's monument protection law prohibits the removal, relocation, or altering of any monument, memorial, or work of art without the approval of the North Carolina Historical Commission. And they're called objects of remembrance. So this would be things such as statues, monuments, or plaques reflecting the state's history. Those cannot be permanently removed. Now, they can be relocated in the case of construction, or if it's a state-led project, preservation project, they can remove it, move it to another location. But it may not be relocated to a museum, cemetery, or mausoleum unless it was originally placed at such a location. Pardon me, you can't remove it from there. So if you're going to move it from one cemetery to another, or from one museum to another, you can do that. But you just can't go in there randomly and remove all these monuments because of North Carolina's monument protection law, preservation law. Now, there are exceptions for highway markers, they say here, privately owned objects on public property under a legal agreement, i.e. contract, between the owner, state, or objects which have been deemed unsafe by, and this is key here, an inspector, and such items that commemorate officers with the Wildlife Resources Commission, etc., people who were killed in the line of duty. But the court ruled, the lower court ruled, trial court, that county managers are not building inspectors. So a building inspector can determine whether or not a statue, Confederate statue, whatever the statue is safe, or if it's causing some type of safety risk to the public. They can determine whether or not that statue should be removed in that case. But you just can't go randomly into the cemetery here or into, the front of a courthouse there and just remove whatever statue you want because you don't agree with it. Now, the plaintiffs were arguing that the clauses in the law, which have this exception of removing such objects in the case of a building inspector or similar official, and they said that would apply for a county manager, county commissioner, or that if it poses a threat to the public safety because of an unsafe or dangerous condition, but that's referring to the actual object itself, not to some type of protest. Because you have people who are protesting, so if people are protesting for or against the removal of whatever the monument is, statue, memorial, well, they're creating that environment because they're holding those protests in that location. But it's not the statue itself that's creating that environment because it's a statue. But if the statue is crumbling, has some structural issues, and it's causing people to, let's say, trip and fall right in front of the statue or whatever, people are getting injured, then it can be removed and put at a different location. So they were arguing this back in 2020, these people, these plaintiffs, and they said that a county manager or the Alamance County manager would fall under the description of similar official. And they also had concerns about protesters, so they said this would all fall under that category. But the appeals court backed the lower court's decision, this trial court's decision, stating that a county manager's role is managerial and that they have no authority to go in and remove these statues because they are not building inspectors. So way to go. Victory. Round of applause. Victory for free speech, as it should be. And this is how you fight this. Exactly how you fight this. So I thought I'd share this story with you out of Graham, North Carolina. A victory for free speech, Confederate monuments, whatever the monument is. Yeah, I bet you support Nazis, don't you? No, I don't support Nazis, and I happen to be of German descent, okay? But if you're going to take down anything you disagree with, including Nazi flags or whatever the object might be, a temple, let's say a temple to Satan, okay? And what is up with you people in your temples to Satan? Really? Sorry, but my God is 10 times more powerful than your puny little satanic God ever will be. So take that, bitch. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Seriously. And I guarantee you, those people who are out there doing that, probably working some little, dinky little 20-hour job somewhere, in a video store. Do they still have video stores? I mean, seriously, though, but a major win for free speech. Major win for free speech here with these Confederate monuments. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me on Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or you can find me at X, Culture Confederacy, at CultureConfed1 on X. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time. And you all have a great Thursday. And it's great to be back.